We live in an age where the final frontiers are no longer just outer space, but the deep, dark, crushing depths of our own oceans. In June of 2023, a small group of adventurers set sail, or rather, set dive, into one of the most iconic and forbidding places on Earth, the resting place of the Titanic. On board the Titan were 5 men, each with their own motivations: scientific curiosity, thrill-seeking, business prestige. Together, they embarked on an expedition that would capture the world's attention and, in the end, shock it. But what happened underwater on that day was more than just an accident. It was a convergence of ambition, technology, risk, and human hubris. As we peel back the layers of this deep-sea disaster, we ask not only what went wrong, but why. The mission: to visit the Titanic. The Titanic sank in 1912, and nearly 111 years later its wreck sits some 3,800 meters, about 12,500 feet, beneath the North Atlantic Ocean. The company OceanGate had been offering deep-sea expeditions since 2021. Their aim: bring paying passengers, enthusiasts, scientists, thrill-seekers, down to view the Titanic's remains up close. The Titan submersible was central to this mission. Built by OceanGate and operational by 2021, it was a 5-person craft, pilot plus 4 guests, that aimed to take voyagers into the midnight zone of the sea. Tickets reportedly cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Part of the appeal was exclusivity. Part was the narrative of pioneering exploration. But with high cost comes high risk: the technology and design, innovation, or experimentation. Let's examine how Titan was built and where the trouble began. The pressure hull. Titan used 2 titanium hemispherical end caps joined with a cylindrical hull made of carbon fiber composite. Composite versus metal. Most deep-sea submersibles use a metal spherical hull because the sphere distributes pressure evenly under thousands of meters of water. Titan's design was more unconventional: a carbon fiber wound cylinder with titanium end caps. Certification and testing. Unlike many commercial vessels, Titan was not certified by a traditional third party such as the American Bureau of Shipping. The company regarded it as an experimental craft. Warnings: internal documents reveal concerns. For example, the company's former marine operations director raised red flags about the carbon fiber hull and viewports with limited depth ratings. Physics of implosion. At these depths, water pressure is extreme, roughly 1 ton per square inch for every 10 meters of depth, roughly. If the hull can't stand it, collapse happens in milliseconds. And tragically, there is no time to react. So here we have a submersible with a novel design, deep-sea targets, paying customers, and a regulatory status that left it in a gray zone. The question is, was that level of risk acceptable? The final dive. 18 June 2023. On the morning of 18 June 2023, the Titan launched from its support vessel, the Polar Prince, in international waters off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. Stockton Rush, CEO of OceanGate, Paul-Henri Nargeolet, French deep-sea explorer and Titanic specialist, Hamish Harding, British adventurer, Shahzada Dawood, Pakistani-British businessman, Suleiman Dawood, his 19-year-old son. As the sub descended, roughly 90 minutes into the dive, there was a last communication. Dropped 2 WTs, 2 weights released. 6 seconds or so later, tracking was lost. Nobody knows exactly what happened inside the Titan in those final seconds, but around that time, an anomaly consistent with implosion was detected. The support ship waited, and the hours passed. When the Titan failed to surface at its scheduled time, alarm bells rang. A search began. The search and discovery. The disappearing of the Titan triggered a massive, international search and rescue operation. Ships, planes, unmanned underwater vehicles scoured the North Atlantic. On 22 June 2023, about 4 days later, a remotely operated vehicle, ROV, discovered a debris field roughly 500 meters, about 1,600 feet, from the bow of the Titanic wreck. The debris included pieces of the hull, equipment, and other components. From that moment, authorities concluded that the Titan had suffered a catastrophic implosion, killing all 5 on board. Official statements said the death was instantaneous. The occupants would not have felt anything, a physicist explained. When the hull gives way, there is no time. The human body would be gone in a fraction of a second. What went wrong? Design, culture, oversight. Here's where we dig deeper. The Titan tragedy wasn't simply bad luck. Many of the contributing factors were known before the dive. Design and materials. Composite carbon fiber hulls under compression loads can suffer micro-buckling, delamination, fatigue, and other issues historically less predictable than solid metal. Experts believe microscopic imperfections in Titan's hull may have accumulated during prior dives. Ignored warnings. Inside OceanGate, reports warned that the hull or adhesives could not be tested adequately. The director of marine operations stated that he urged certification, but the company refused. Regulatory gaps. Because the Titan was operating in international waters and did not carry typical commercial passengers from a defined port, it was not subject to many of the regulations that govern deep-sea vessels. Operating as a tourist experiment, some oversight was minimal. Culture and decisions. The founder-CEO, Stockton Rush, made statements minimizing safety. In a 2021 interview, he stated, "If you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed." Together, these factors turned a daring expedition into a disaster waiting to happen. The human toll. We must remember, this is not just about technology or oversight. 5 lives were lost. Stockton Rush, 61, Paul Henry Nargeolet, 77, Hamish Harding, 58, Shahzada Dawood, 48, Suleiman Dawood, 19. Each person had their own story, a father giving his son an extraordinary experience, a seasoned explorer returning to the Titanic wreck, an adventurer seeking a new frontier. Their deaths reverberated not only in the deep sea, but across families, industries, and the public conscience. In the aftermath, numerous lawsuits and investigations followed. Rumors swirled online, including fake transcripts of the Titan's final moments. Investigations later determined them to be fabricated. The aftermath and lessons learned. What did the world take away from this tragedy? Several critical lessons: the need for robust certification and third-party oversight in extreme exploration tech deployments. The risk of combining technological innovation with commercial tourist ventures when lives are on the line. The importance of a safety culture where concerns are heard, employees are empowered, and decisions aren't overridden by hubris. The fact that deep-sea exploration remains one of the most unforgiving environments. Small flaws can lead to instantaneous catastrophe. In August 2025, the United States Coast Guard released a report describing the disaster as preventable, citing inadequate design, certification flaws, maintenance lapses, and a toxic workplace culture. The deep-sea tourism industry, regulators and engineers are now rethinking how submersibles are built, tested, certified, and operated. The legacy of Titan may be a new chapter in safety, but one bought at a grim cost. Reflections. Why it matters. Why does this story grip us? Because it sits at the intersection of human ambition and nature's unforgiving realm. The Titanic itself was a cautionary tale of hubris. The Titan tragedy echoes the same themes. It's a reminder that pushing boundaries is noble, but the darker question is whether we fully respect the risks. The magnetism of the Titanic wreck, the thrill of being one of few to glimpse it in person. These created a potent mix of prestige, profit, and peril. For audiences, viewers, students of technology and risk, this is a case study in what happens when innovation outpaces caution, when adventure outpaces oversight, and when human lives become part of the experiment. For the families, this is the unimaginable, a moment of aspiration turned into incomprehensible loss. We honor the lives of those lost not by forgetting, but by learning. Closing, the deep sea legacy. In the vast darkness of the ocean, pressure builds slowly, invisibly, relentlessly. The Titan's descent reminds us, what happens deep beneath the waves can echo loudly above them. The story of the Titan submersible is not just about one dive, one company, one disaster. It is about the boundaries of exploration, the cost of experimentation, and the rare but real moments when we meet nature's limits. May this tragedy serve as a stark beacon, a reminder that courage and caution must go hand in hand, and that the deep sea remains, for now, a frontier best approached with humility. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the abyss. If you found this story meaningful, please like, comment, subscribe, and share, so we can keep telling the true stories that matter.